Now, Malaysia's Prime Minister Najib Razak has defended the assault, saying it was necessary to protect the country's sovereignty. But the opposition leader Anwar Ibrahim has called for a parliament session to be held to discuss the issue of security in Sabah.
Sehingga kini kita merasa kesal dan kecewa dengan sikap kepimpinan negara yang tidak mempamerkan kewibawaan dan iltizam dalam menyelesaikan masalah ini. Pimpinan negara juga gagal menyalurkan maklumat tepat, cepat dan telus serta memberikan penjelasan terhadap apa yang berlaku kepada umum sehingga menyebabkan khabar angin tersebar luas.
Now, earlier I spoke to Antonio Rapa, Associate Professor and Head of Security Studies at Singapore Institute of Management University. I asked him to rate the Malaysian government's handling of this crisis.
The Malaysian government under Najib has done a good job, and for two reasons. The first one is about an emotive reason. It's about Malaysian dignity. You can't have people intruding into your territory and, you know, making claims or reclaiming little nuggets from a historical past that go back to the time of the English or British colonial period. But more important than that, I think the Malaysian...
Let me stop you there for a second. Tell me about that arrangement there, because, I mean, you call it a little nugget, but it seems to be big enough such that the Malaysian government acknowledges it by paying the Sultanate a small fee for this thing. So clearly there is an issue to be addressed, isn't there?
The second point I wanted to make was that it's a defense of Malaysian sovereignty. So that is why Najib had to send his security people inside. To answer your question, and the reason why I call it a bit of a gold nugget is because it is important, but it's really quite small. And I think maybe the Malaysians sent in too large a force. You know, they sent in 7 battalions to Sabah, according to the General Tan Sri Zulkifli. No, I think it goes back to the time where the Malaysian government, the federal government that was formed in 1963, was merely carrying on a sort of bureaucratic administrative tradition that the British had started. You know, paying 5,000 ringgit or so. I think they've upped it to about 5,200 ringgit, maybe 2,000 plus Singapore dollars to the people of, you know, by way of the Sultan himself.
You know, since 1963, which is now 50 years ago, we haven't actually managed to sort this issue out, because there's always been this long-running conflict, mostly low-lying, but the issue of nationalities in that part of the world and the back-and-forth movement of Filipinos and Malaysians across that piece of ocean. Why haven't they sorted this out before?
It's not a matter of having something sorted out, because there's really not much to resolve. At the time of the formation of the federation, there was Indonesia had a bit of a problem with that. You know, they had the whole confrontation with Indonesia, and of course the hanging of the 2 Indonesian commandos in Singapore itself, which was part of the federation at that point in time. Singapore left the federation in 1965. I think what is important is the fact that politically, the Sabah claim, according to a previous scholar, political scientist Lau Teck Soon, he wrote a working paper on the Sabah claim, and this claim is still in existence. It's just that out of cordiality, out of respect for a fellow ASEAN member, the Philippine government, under various presidencies from the time of President Makapakal, have decided to put it aside, put it on way back, you know, sort of a way back burner, not to stir up the issue. Out of respect, out of non-interference, you know, there's a treaty of amity and cooperation, which basically means that an individual ASEAN state does not interfere in the affairs, domestic affairs with another. But how about claims? So it's not as if it's something that can be resolved quite easily.
Now, I am not a rich man, far from it. And you know what? I'm okay with that. Sure, I'd like to be certain that my son is provided for, and yes, I'd like to own a big house. Actually, more accurately, I'd just like to own a house full stop, but hey, property's pretty